Greeting everyone from here in Hong Kong. A few weeks ago I published a video in which I narrate why I think the standards within the UK police service, and in particular the Metropolitan Police, have declined. I felt as a former police officer in both the Met and here in Hong Kong that I was in a strong position to compare, contrast and critique. In that video I raised many issues, not least my vehement objection against the injustices of two-tier policing and the erosion of free speech and freedom of expression. These concerns have just been vindicated because yesterday my YouTube channel, Oh Sir, was taken down. Now it was called Oh Sir because it's the name of my WeChat channel, which I narrate stories in Mandarin, some of my travels and so forth, and it's a lot more viewed than anything on YouTube. Anyway, the excuse given by whoever behind the censorship was that my video breached YouTube's community standards. Not only was the video taken down, but the whole channel has gone. I suppose my ramblings were given the usual shadow banning treatment and exiled to the fringes of the interweb because nobody really cared and nobody really watches my stuff. I only have a few subscribers and a few people who ever watch my stuff. However, this particular video must have hit a nerve. I noticed it started to get traction and get shared. I suppose with people who agreed with me, and also I guess with people who thought my thoughts were heresy, that I needed to be given the Gen Z punishment and Oh Sir should be cancelled, should be disappeared, and indeed it was. I should point out that in that video everything was factual. I researched it, I wrote a script, and as you can tell from that video I read from the script. And I suppose it demonstrates that real evil forces are at play here, that there really is censorship out there on the internet, and there's no real platform for anyone to actually say anything. But I'm going to give it a go again. Why not? Keep going. Yong Bu Fang Chi. In that censored video, I was insistent that England, the land of my ancestors, and a place I'm indigenous to, is being invaded, specifically by Islam. We all know it is. The globalists and the Islamists welcome it. The blue-haired, face-stapled, tattooed, white liberal women support it because it's some form of desperate attention-seeking for them. The large chunk of the, I call it soporific Middle England, probably just feel helpless and don't know whether to go out and buy a burqa, clear the refrigerator of pork products, or put the dog down. And there's a few English patriots and loyalists like myself that vehemently oppose it and will say so, despite threats of made-up concepts like Islamophobia and so forth. It is no longer a secret that Islam wants a European caliphate and to impose their medieval violent cult on the indigenous population of the whole of Europe. They're already all over Spain, they're in France, they're in Germany, and they're coming over by the boatloads in Britain. You can't say that it isn't happening. It says they should do this in the Quran and in the Hadiths. And on any social media where a Muslim is being truthful, they will say they're going to do it. And as I pointed out in that censored video, Muslims are very much a victim of Islam, just as Christians, atheists, Sikhs, Hindus, Buddhists, Jews, and secular people. I did a little looking at the numbers, and my research indicated that since 2018, about 194,000 illegal immigrants crossed the English Channel in dinghies into England. Statistics. Yes, who knows whether they're true or not. But it's around 200,000 have crossed since that time. And it's only since 2018-19 that records have been kept. Also, being undocumented, I'm not entirely sure how the ubiquitous facial recognition surveillance cameras are going to identify them anyway, given they don't throw all their passports over the side of the boats. And and so they're probably going to be invisible amongst the general population. The total number of illegal immigrants in the UK is, of course, what criminologists call a dark figure, but it's estimated to be between 1 and 2 million illegal immigrants in Britain at this time. Most come from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Albania, Eritrea, Sudan, Syria, Iran, Iraq, and also many countries in North Africa and the Middle East. They're nearly all Islamic countries. And apart from Sudan, which is actually going through a brutal war that you never hear about on the news, none are at war and none of these people are at risk. Unless, of course, they are criminals and are wanted in their own countries and are fleeing capture, which is often the case. The number of Muslims in the UK is 4.3 million, apparently, which makes up about 7% of the general population, and it's growing fast, and in certain places they will be the majority, particularly in the urban areas. And this is supported by the fact that Mohammed, the name Mohammed, is now the most popular name in the UK and has been for several years in succession. The burden of the public purse, i.e. the money that you give to the government out of your earnings, that they take in taxes and all the various stealth taxes they have in the UK, pay for the 40 to almost 50% of Muslims in England who are on welfare and benefits. They don't work. And indeed, they're now incentivized to have even more children because the 2-child benefit cap has just recently been removed by the Labour government. What about continental Europe? Well, it's pretty much the same, perhaps even more so. But in this video, I am going to concentrate on my motherland, England. The question I want to ask is, who is behind this invasion? And why isn't, or should I say, why hasn't the UK government stopped them? After all, it's not that difficult. Here in China, Hong Kong, and the rest of East Asia, border controls are really strict and illegal immigrants are prosecuted and deported. I also want to know how these illegal immigrants afford the $3,000 to $5,000 US boat ride that is provided for them by organised criminals. It wouldn't be difficult to work out and stick in an I2 chart who these organised criminals are and what the connections and links between them all are, or to follow the money through the banks, would it? After all, $3,000 to $5,000 US for a trip, and the average yearly salary for most of those countries I just mentioned, like Iran, Afghanistan, is between $400 and $600 US a year. Why aren't the UK police arresting the human trafficking gangs that provide these dinghies and the equipment and providing the logistics, and also confiscating the proceeds of crime, money laundering type stuff? I bet I know where the boats and life jackets are all coming from, and it's not going to be far from where I'm sitting at the moment. Britain, bizarrely, has pledged 500 million, that's £500 million, to France for the last 3 years to enhance border patrols. Has anyone seen anything? Has it stopped the crossings? No, it's clearly failed, and the numbers are increasing year by year. Also, all the French are actually doing is arresting English patriots from organisations like Raise the Flag or Raise the Colours, who are unilaterally trying to halt this invasion into the British Isles from the shores of Normandy. It seems the French weren't too conflicted about thousands of British and Canadian and American men on their beaches in 1944, were they? I said in that video, that censored video that's been taken down, that this invasion by the foreign medieval death cult is being supported by the UK police, and that the police, even the RNLI, the lifeboat institution that acts as a ferry service, the authorities, local government, main government, have been infiltrated by jihadi sympathisers. Even the Reform Party is kowtowing to Islam, and only a few brave patriots like the other Rupert are doing anything about it. What can be done other than civil disobedience, national strikes, and ultimately civil war? And who's going to fight in a civil war anyway? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be me in my 60s? The UK military? The UK military has been depleted. It's got 37,000 in the Royal Navy, 35,000 in the Royal Air Force, and 109,000 in the Army. And of that, 13% of them are women, so they're as much use on the battlefield as chocolate teapots. That number is less than the total number of fighting age men that we know crossed the Channel in the last decade, let alone the homegrown Islamic ghettos that have sprung up in every single British city. I think the tipping point has already been reached, so we better start planning. Talk, Mr. Bond.